Horsepower isn't everything, and in this video of my G37 street car versus whatever the heck this is, Chevrolet, NASCAR, something, I don't know, we're gonna see just that, and also when to let go of your ego and understand that the guy behind you is indeed faster. So what you're seeing right here is the green flag straight away right after our warm-up lap. I see this terrifying car behind me that's obviously more powerful because he was creeping up on me on the straightaway, so I let him by, but the amount of time it took him to get by me should have been the first red flag. Now, like all times that a faster looking car gets by me, I like to challenge myself to see how long I can keep up with the car and see if I can even catch back up, so that's exactly what I'm doing here. And you can see again from this little straightaway how much more powerful the car is than me because he creates quite a gap on this little straight. But look what happens as we get to the end of that straight. Now it's going to be a bunch of turns. Power isn't going to be such an important role here, and it's going to be more about the car's handling and, you know, driver experience with driving style, driving lines and everything. And you can see that I'm creeping up pretty quickly to him. A little bit of power is needed right here as we get to a little bit of a straight, but I'm still catching up. I think he doesn't really know where the braking zones are. You know, that's okay because this is the advanced second out of 6 fastest group of the day. So I assume that this guy has experience. Maybe he just hasn't been to this track before, so he needs a second to figure out the lines. And even though I closed the gap a little bit through those low-speed turns, we kind of maintain a similar pace through this high-speed turn. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, I don't know which car is really faster yet, I don't know who's driving faster. And then right over Phil Hill here, we get yellow flagged for a car going off track, so I'm just gonna speed up until that car in front of us goes back to the pits. Okay, so the Corvette pitted. He ended up keeping like an 80% pace through the lap instead of like kind of slowing down offline to let us go by, but whatever, that's a different story. Now we're back in the open. I still don't know which car is faster, so we're just proceeding to go to this straightaway where he obviously again has the power to just completely blow by me. And then I catch up pretty quick, but now we're stuck behind a BMW. And the BMW's pace was much slower than both of ours. Now, this is an open passing group, so you can pass whenever, although it's recommended and preferred to give and wait for point buys from the driver ahead. Although if you're not getting a point buy since it is open passing, you should go ahead and make the pass if you can. Now, the Chevrolet, for whatever reason, wouldn't pass the BMW. I don't know why. It took a very long time until we were finally on a straightaway and he could outpower him. So hard to say whose fault it was for that pass taking so long, but here we are now. And with these straights coming up, you're going to see again with his power, he's going to absolutely create a gap on me, but it starts to get interesting after this straightaway. Okay, here we are after the sections where the power carries you a little bit. I'm basically already caught up and we haven't even got through these turns yet. So basically for that reason, I kind of realized at this point that I was actually the faster car. So now I'm thinking about how I'm going to pass him, when I'm going to make a move. Is he going to point me by? I don't know yet. And I'm really having to reduce my pace here. You can see I let off throttle when I normally be full throttle right here. Right here, he's going to pick up a little bit of a gap with the straightaway. But like right here, I don't know why he's braking. We should be full throttle. At this point, I kind of realized maybe he's not that experienced of a driver. And then again, right here, I'm having to brake way earlier than I normally would. I don't want to hit this guy. I know it's open passing, but here you see I'm looking for kind of a way to get around him. It should have been obvious to him at this point that I'm really trying to get around, that I know I have a faster pace, and he's not really acknowledging it. So at this point is where I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated, and it probably would have been in my best interest to kind of pull off to the pits right here, wait for another opening to get on the track and get away from this driver. But I didn't, and that's my fault. I didn't know how much time was left in the session, so I didn't know if I was going to basically have to go back out, do a cool down lap, and then come back in. And here again we are at the straightaways where he has the power to create this kind of temporary artificial gap between us that's gonna get closed up really soon. And it's because of those straightaways that I think this guy really thinks that he's the faster car no matter where I catch him on the turns. Or he just really has something against G37s and refuses to let one by. And here we are again at the end of the power defining section. I'm right on his tail again, just where we were last lap. But this time I'm really having to hold off of my pace because he's just going that much slower. I know it's hard to tell in the video, but if I had my pedal cam it would be a lot easier to see what I'm talking about. And again, where I should have been full throttle right here, I'm having to let off because he's braking through a place that you should not be braking. And it's because of all these times that I have to brake before I hit him that he ends up throttling away from me right after I brake and thinks that he's faster. Now, if he was just giving me some kind of gap to let him pass, or just letting off throttle just a little bit so I can get by and we can both go about our days, none of this would have been a problem at all. Now, I had more speed coming out of Phil Hill than him here, and he kind of went wide, so I thought he was going to let me on the inside, but no, apparently not. And he's braking here for, I have no idea why he would be braking right there. So at this point, I was actually starting to get a bit frustrated because it should have been incredibly obvious that I'm trying to get by as I'm trying to dive bomb you on the corners and you're blocking me off like it's a wheel-to-wheel race. It shouldn't be the case. So I was actually going to pull off the track and go into the pits right here to create some space and get away. But you can see he actually finally goes into the pits himself. Didn't point me by, he just, put his hand out the window that he's going to the pits. So now that I finally had some clear road in front of me, I really tried to push it, but then I saw that there was a Corvette creeping up behind me. So with only a couple of turns, I realized he was the faster driver and I let him by. I wish that you guys would do the same. So I'm gonna fast forward here to the next lap, which is the only lap that I get to get in a good run before it gets hot later on in the day. It was gonna be in the 90s. And I was competing in a time attack competition, so this was going to be my only chance to actually get a competitive lap. But the car was pretty hot already because this was how many laps into the session, so my car was not at optimal performance. I did not get that fast of a lap. It was like 202.3. So unfortunately for me, the Chevrolet driver kind of ruined my only session where I could have had a competitive lap. I just hope that you guys learn from this video so that you know not to do this when you're at your track events. But I'll just let the video go so you can watch the rest of my lap. Could have been a better lap. I know I could have driven better, but I only had one chance.